We are live. Hello, everybody. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been or are in a toxic relationship? Now, don't be quick to say no, because a lot of people don't even know what it looks like. And I've seen so many people recently reach out to me and say, am I in a toxic relationship? And give me some signs of them. And it breaks my heart to tell them that they are. But tonight we're going to be diving into the secret signs of a toxic relationship. So we are not going to be talking about the stuff that you see, the fighting and the yelling and the screaming. That's all signs of a toxic relationship. But there are subtle signs of a toxic relationship that we are going to be going over tonight. So if you are here, let me know that you're here in the comments. If you're in my Facebook group, please make sure that you put your name on there so I know who you are as you comment. And then if you're in YouTube, make sure you give me a thumbs up on that video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And in my Facebook stuff, go ahead and show me some love with some hearts. Okay. So I'm excited to jump into this tonight, and I'll tell you why. Because I was in a toxic marriage and I never knew it. And I was in this marriage for 9 years and I had no idea that it was toxic. And I had even been to therapy for 2 years, and that word did not come out of my therapist's mouth about being in a toxic relationship, nor did the words codependency or narcissism come out. So I'm doing this video tonight. I know a lot of the ladies that follow me already know that they're in a toxic relationship, but I'm doing this video to spread awareness and to make sure that even if you think you're in a toxic relationship, there might be some signs that you're unaware of as well. And I really want to help you understand that so that you can get the help that you need. Okay. So I did put a link somewhere up above or down below, depending on where you're at. If you want to see if you're a good fit for my From Pain to Power mentorship, which basically brings you through the process of healing after toxic relationships, awakening to your self-worth, you can check that out. But today, let's jump into this. So if you are here, let me know in the comments. I always have my notes. Let me know, are you in a toxic relationship, or have you been through a toxic relationship, or maybe you're just not sure? So write one of those 3 answers down in the comments so that I can understand where you guys are coming from. And if you have any questions along the way here, just make sure you put them in the comments and I will check them out at the end. So hello, Joanna, Alice, Constance, Kim, Amanda, Leanne. Hello, ladies. I'm excited to have you here. So say hello, give me a hashtag replay. If you're catching the replay, let me know that you guys are here. Okay, so let's talk about healthy relationships first. What does that look like? Okay, healthy relationships, and the way I explain this is it's when 2 healed people come together. So they're not depending on each other for emotional validation. Okay, so it's like 2 people come together and it looks like this. When you're talking about unhealthy relationships, it kind of looks like this, where they are the relationship. And it's hard for them when they break up to actually be independent people because they've lost themselves in the relationship. So healthy relationships kind of look like 2 people that don't need or seek validation or love outside of themselves come together to form a partnership and love in between. Okay, so this looks like they're supporting each other. This looks like good communication. This looks like we want the best for each other. And this is where I see a lot of relationships fail, is that they're all about themselves and what they need in the relationship. And this is perfectly understandable because through the relationship, it got to this point. But in the very beginning, usually, if you're not in a narcissistic relationship, you want the best for each other. You want to see that other person succeed. You want to help and encourage and inspire and support that other person and your partner. Now, disclaimer here, or side note, is that the relationships that we're talking about tonight doesn't just have to be romantic. It can be friendships, it can be family. So if you're not in a romantic situation or relationship, everything that we're talking about tonight can also be in friendships and also family relationships. So just remember that. So we have our healthy relationship. So it looks good. You can see the love between each other. They really, truly love each other and want the best for them. So they communicate, they make decisions together, they have a partnership. Now, when we move into the toxic relationships, this is where everything changes. So let's see. So Let's see. Christine says, I've been in one. Someone in the Facebook group says, I'm in one. Amanda has been through divorce now. Joanna says, thank you. You're welcome. Been through a few. Not sure. Still questioning myself if I'm in a toxic one, Aurora says. Dante said, been through a few. Zulima says, hi, ladies. I was in a toxic relationship. Bethany, in through an existing one for many years. I've been through one. Constance says, was in one. It is so common. So if you don't know what that is, or somebody recommended this video to you, it's because they are worried that you're in this type of relationship. So open your ears a little bit, open yourself to accepting the information that I'm about to tell you, and take it with you, okay? So basically, the obvious signs of a toxic relationships, again, you can point it out because you see the people arguing, you see the people screaming, you see the people putting each other down all the time. And like, just when you're around them, you can sense the negativity. That is a really obvious signs of toxic relationships. But tonight we're going deeper because there's a lot of subtle signs that we're unaware of. And what happens that I see in a lot of my clients is it confuses them. Because for me, I grew up around controlled relationships, a lot around money, a lot of screaming, a lot of fighting, a lot of putting down. So this was kind of like normal to me. So I didn't understand anything different. So some of these subtle signs, and we're going to talk about subtle signs of a toxic relationship, and then we're going to go into abuse. Now, real quick, let's take a little detour here. Let me talk about narcissism and codependency. Now, if you haven't heard these words are very common in toxic relationships. Now, a narcissist is someone that needs supply, it's called. So they need you feeding their ego all of the time. And usually narcissists will manipulate you to get what they want. So they will also shame you and guilt you and gaslight you. So there's this whole process that narcissists bring you through, and they have no empathy, or very little bit of empathy. So a lot of people get confused and like they don't want to put labels on them. And the labels really don't matter, but I am explaining this to you because if that resonates with you and the abuse part of what we're about to talk about resonates with you, you definitely want to check out my narcissism playlist on this channel. Just go to the homepage on YouTube if you're on YouTube and check out that series because it'll blow your mind and probably bring a lot into perspective and clear up a lot of your confusion. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, narcissism, and I also have a video on YouTube, which is the difference between narcissist, codependent, and an empath. So check that out. And I show you my little scale. So on the other side of the spectrum with codependents is they are seeking love and validation outside of themselves because they never found it in their childhood. So they have a lot of empathy. So this could be you. If you're here, it's most likely probably you, that you are giving, and always trying to please the other person and always caring so much about how the other person feels, and they're taking. So this is a narcissistic codependent relationship. Most of these relationships are toxic, okay? But what's important to understand is it doesn't just have to be a narcissist and a codependent. It can be a narcissist and we'll just call them a healed person, right? None of the above, someone in the middle. It could be a codependent and a healed person. It could be two codependents together. These things can cause toxic relationships. So it doesn't always have to be just the narcissist and the codependent. So please remember that. So let's go into these subtle signs of toxic relationships. So the first one is going to be lack of support. And let me know in the comments as we're going through this. I don't think I'm going to be able to remember the numbers. So just write the one that resonates with you. And if it's multiple, write those as it does. And if you're watching the replay, do this for me as well so that I can see where you're coming from and what you've been dealing with. So the first one is lack of support. So like I said, in a healthy relationship, you are going to feel supportive. You're going to feel encouraged and inspired to go after your dreams, to do what's best for you. Your partner is going to do that. In a toxic relationship, that's not going to happen. It's going to be more about them and always trying to get what they need and what they want, and not really supporting you to do what you want because maybe it's affecting what they want. So lack of support. The second one is going to be jealousy. So this happens in normal relationships. Jealousy comes from, again, a lack of healing in an individual. So if you're not fully healed, you're going to be jealous because it's triggering some stuff inside of you, such as you're not enough. It might even be triggering some abandonment issues from the past. So when jealousy arises, it's going to trigger you. And then that can cause you to like lash out or try to control the situation. Now, if there's a jealousy where that jealousy is really bad and it's trying to, like, you're not allowed to go out with your friends, you're not allowed to do anything, you're not allowed to be talking on the phone, that's a lot of control as well. So you want to make sure to analyze the jealousy in the relationship to see if it's maybe a healthy kind of jealousy where it's like, oh, I'm a little jealous, but go ahead and have fun with your friends, versus like, oh no, you cannot do that. That's a control issue around the jealousy. Okay, I see people raising their hand. All right, controlling behaviors is our next one. So they're trying to control you. They're trying to control what you do, who you see, your friends. So controlling behaviors is a subtle sign. Now, everything that I just said here, the only person that's going to be aware of this stuff is the person that's in the relationship. So other people on the outside is not going to see these things because it's within the relationship. And this is where a lot of women, let me take a sip before I have a little coughing attack. Okay, so this is where a lot of women will get confused because to everybody on the outside, this person that they're with, or even men, right? This person that they're with, they look and act normal on the outside, but when they come into the home and into the relationship, they're a completely different person. And that is completely normal, especially with the narcissist. Another subtle sign of a toxic relationship is resentment. You have resentment for the other person. Now, again, this builds up over time because the more you feel unsupported, like taken care of, your needs are not met, like you're trying to communicate, but they're not making any changes. You're trying to help the relationship, but they're not taking any action. So a lot of resentment will build up. And when you have resentment, you start to blame. So blame is another sign of a toxic relationship. And this kind of breaks my heart when I see this, hey, Becky, in toxic relationships, because I know that it's taken so long and that it's just built up, and it's really hard to shift unless you're really committed to doing that. And we're going to talk about, if this is resonating with you, like how you can, help yourself in the situation or how to fix it. Okay. So blame is going to be another one. So let me know in the comments, like, are you guys blaming? Did you blame your partners in other relationships? Because that is a huge one. I know I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of the resentment. I'm guilty of the blame. Hey, Karen, I see you as well. So yeah, so let me know in the comments. The next one is going to be dishonesty. All right. Lies. And the little white lies turn into the big lies. If they're lying about this, they're probably lying about more. And there's a lot of dishonesty, which ruins the trust. And when you break a trust in a relationship, it's really hard to get it back. So again, when that trust is broken, here comes a lot more of the resentment, a lot of the blame, and it's just like a vicious cycle. So dishonesty is a very big one of toxic relationships, and especially if somebody is cheating on somebody consistently, if somebody's lying to somebody consistently, it's going to really blow up the relationship, and it's going to turn toxic no matter what, because there's just so much emotion, so much resentment, so much rage as well between it. Okay, so dishonesty is a big one. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this when we talk about abuse. So right now, this is just going to be disrespect. So they don't respect you. They don't care what you need. You ask them to do something. You ask them to treat you a certain way. You set some boundaries, and yet they don't reciprocate. They don't abide by your boundaries. So they are basically disrespecting you in so many ways. And then also, with their words, they can also disrespect you. So realize that disrespect is not a healthy relationship. Like, think about that. Like, you are supposed to be in love with this person. You're supposed to want the best for this person, and they should want the best for you. And here you are communicating your needs and your boundaries, and they're not respecting that. Like, that is a very toxic relationship. The next thing is tension and stress. And I don't know who doesn't have that nowadays, especially with the pandemic. But, you know, a lot of tension and a lot of stress in a relationship is not good. If one person is working all the time and one person is home all the time, again, resentment will come in. That one person that has stress might take it out on the other person, vice versa. So there can be a lot of tension and stress in a relationship. Now, there can be a lot of tension and stress in a healthy relationship as well. But in the healthy relationship, they're going to communicate. They're going to talk about it. They're going to say, okay, you know what? We got to get out of the house. Like, let's have a date night every week so that we can let go of some of this stress and not take it out on each other. That is a healthy relationship. When we're talking about toxic relationship, they don't care. Like, they are just going to lash out. They're going to take it out on you, and they're not going to try to help the situation. So there's a very big difference there. Okay. Becky says, yes, lots of secrecy. Yeah. Joanna says, no, cheating just didn't work for me. Yeah. They don't even check on you only to see if you're with someone else. Amanda, wasn't fighting and stuff. It was the break of trust and betrayal. Yeah, that's a huge one. Once you lose trust, it's really hard to get that back. Okay. Another sign of a toxic relationship is isolation. Now, this is really sneaky because this happened to me and I didn't even realize it because I moved states to be with him. So when I went down there, it was like I had nobody down there. I was an hour away from all my family, all my friends, and I felt very isolated. I didn't go out at all because I didn't have anybody. So it's isolation. So they will try to move you away, or they will try to get in between you and your friends to isolate you. And they do this so that you don't have an outlet. So you really have nowhere to go in order to leave the relationship. So isolation is a big part, especially with narcissists. So if you feel isolated, you moved somewhere, you moved states, all your friends disappeared because you couldn't go out anymore. So they stopped calling you because he or she didn't want you to go out. Like, this is isolation. All right. And that's a very big sign of toxic relationships as well. So let me know in the comments before I keep going, because I still got a lot to go. Let me know if this is giving you value. Just write value in the comments if this is making sense. And maybe some of these, maybe you haven't even realized before. So ignoring needs is another one. So again, they don't care what you need. They're worried more about themselves. We kind of addressed that a little bit. Lack of self-care in a relationship can be very toxic because, again, especially with mothers and even fathers, but like, we're so busy taking care of the kids and taking care of our partner's needs that we forget about ours. Now, if we're not taking care of our needs, and I always say, you know, we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves. This is what they teach us on the airplanes before we put it on our children. It's because we need to survive first so that we can help the others. And this is the same thing. If you are not taking care of yourself in a relationship, if you don't have the time to go get a pedicure or get your nails done or go for a walk or go to the gym or whatever you like to do, this is going to be a sign that there's too much going on and that this other person doesn't care. And this rings a bell for me, especially as being a mother, because, and this, I see this in a lot of relationships as well, like your partner is working all day and you're home with the kids, especially when they're younger, you're home with the kids. And like, by the time they come home, you're like, oh my gosh, I want a break. But they come home and they're like, oh my gosh, I need a break. And it's like, you don't get that release and you don't get that time that you need to recharge after taking care of the kids all day. So I know that's an experience that I had. So that is something about taking care of yourself. Okay. Another toxic symptom or toxic sign is financial control. They will control all the money. And ladies, especially ladies, because I work with a lot of ladies, like, please protect yourself when it comes to finances. Especially if these are resonating with you and you're early on in the relationship, or even maybe not early on, but these are just resonating with you and you think that you might want to get out of this relationship eventually, like, take control of the finances, because a lot of women are left with nothing. And I'm telling you, like, nothing. So make sure that you understand what's going on in the finances in your house. Make sure that you're stashing some money away for a rainy day or your get out day, okay? But make sure that they do not have financial control of everything, because that is going to cause you a lot of harm in the future. Okay. Another one here is if you are afraid of your partner, like that is toxic. Like you shouldn't be intimidated by your partner and you shouldn't be fearful. And like I said, we're going to get into the abuse signs as well. Okay. Now, also toxic is when one of you or both of you know that there's an issue, but only one of you is trying to change it. So I hear this a lot too, like, oh, we're going to therapy, but he stopped because he says he doesn't need it. Or, you know, like I'm working, for me, it was, I worked on myself for like 2 years. I changed the way I ate. I changed the way I thought. I exercised. I tried to do everything to change myself because I felt as though if I had changed myself, I could change the marriage. But that was absolutely not true. It takes two to tango. So if you are working at this marriage to, or relationship, either or, to fix it, but you're the only one trying, that is toxic in itself. And it's usually not going to work out because it takes two people to fix the relationship. I will say, however, when I work with women in the From Pain to Power mentorship, they change themselves. So that codependency kind of moves aside. So they're not as needy, as jealous, as controlling. That does change the dynamic of a relationship. So if I work with someone that's in a relationship, I usually say, don't leave the relationship unless, of course, it's physically abusive, because maybe with you changing, it might change the dynamic of the relationship. But this has to be, it's not just your fault in the relationship. So an example of this would be you're in a relationship, but yet you're so jealous and so controlling, and the other person just is really good. He's healing, he's supportive and all of that, but he just can't take like what you're doing. That could change, okay? But if you're in a narcissistic codependent relationship, usually not going to change. All right, so those are the subtle signs of a toxic relationship. Now I just want to go into the abuse. Okay, so basically, you know, the signs of abuse in a relationship, and this is where we call this emotional abuse. So this is gaslighting. So this is making you feel like you are the crazy one, and this is a manipulation tactic that narcissists use, where they might be doing something wrong, but they will put it on you like you are doing something wrong. So they're making you feel crazy. They're making you feel very confused. And this is the manipulation that they play, okay? Name calling, really putting you down, calling you vicious names, making you feel low. And again, with abuse is a destroyed self-worth. Like a healthy relationship, they're lifting you up. You're feeling worthy. You're feeling good. In a toxic relationship, they are dragging you down, all right? So abuse, your self-worth is so diminished. And this is where I work with women, because after relationships like this, they don't even know who they are anymore. They don't even know that they're worthy. They're scared of getting into other toxic relationships. They have no boundaries because the narcissist or toxic person that they are with has destroyed that, has overrode their boundaries for so many years that they don't even try anymore. So this is really a devastating place to be, I would say, okay? Physical abuse. So physical abuse, if they are hitting you, this is kind of obvious to see because it's actually tangible. They're hitting you. They are, you know, they could be scarring you. They could be doing whatever, but any kind of physical abuse is not okay in a relationship. It is just not okay. And if you have grown up with abuse, you might think that that is normal, but it is not normal. So physical abuse is not okay. And that is a very toxic, abusive relationship. Threats to self-harm. I've worked with a lot of women also that said, well, I couldn't leave because he threatened to kill himself. And some people actually did do that. So we had to heal around all of that. But that's on them. And they're using that as a manipulation technique. And if they actually commit that act of whatever, that's on them, okay? They're either trying to make you suffer at a very extreme extent, okay? Or they're trying to manipulate you with it, all right? So just know that that is out there. If they do threaten self-harm, you are in a very toxic relationship and abusive, all right? Now, Emotional abuse, again, this is the gaslighting, the name calling, saying things to you, really getting, this is passive aggressiveness. Like this is really getting into your head and making you confused and feel crazy and not knowing things. And that's a lot of emotional abuse, putting you down, self-worth is destroyed. Now we're going to move into disrespect in a sexual way. And this is very, very common with narcissists, where they will override your boundaries in the sexual area of your life very much. They will try to push you to do things that you don't want to do. And when you say you don't want to do it, they'll still try to push you. Sexual abuse like rape or molestation, that's all abuse and that's all toxic relationships. And I know that this gets a little bit gray area because you're in a relationship, and especially if you're married, it's like, well, how can your husband rape you? They can, because even though you're in a marriage, you're still two people that have to consent to what you're doing. Now, the other part of sexual abuse comes from, you know, giving yourself to your partner because you feel like you have to please them or to make them happy, or to avoid like the silent treatment or physical abuse or any kind of other treatment, negative treatment that they will give you if you don't give it to them. So this is a big one that I don't think is talked about enough. And I've had several of my clients bring this up to me this week. So I want to just put that out there for you guys, because as women, especially, and I know men, if you're here, love you guys, but as women, like, we have to, in our minds, be in this place. And if we feel as though we're doing this just to do it, it literally is a form of rape in your mind. It's a violation of your body. Even though you're consenting to it under terms of avoiding pain. And that's really not a good place to be. So that's a very toxic situation that you're in. All right. So let me know if these resonated with you. Let me know if that sexual one resonates with you, because I know a lot of women, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it when our husbands or our boyfriends want to have sex, but we don't want to, yet we do it anyway. And especially if you're with narcissists, and you know, a lot of them are addicted to porn and they're like sex addicts, and they're literally not seeing you as a person. They're seeing you as an object. And when you have that in a relationship, that is a very toxic relationship, and there needs to be something done about that. All right. So yes, I do work with women privately. So you can reach out in the comments, in the comment section below or above. You are in, where are you? You're in Facebook. So it should be above in the description of this video. Okay. All right. So if any of that is happening to you, I am so sorry. I resonate with you. I have been in one myself. It is not easy, and it's not fun to go through. So it's time to kind of try to fix this. And sometimes you can't, but I'm going to go through some things that you can do in order to basically take some action against it. So what I would advise, physical, sexual abuse, I don't know. I would say get out unless you try to fix it. If it's too bad, get out. So on any kind of abuse like that, you want to just get out. If you think that there's worth a shot of fixing your relationship, again, this could be friendships, this could be partners, it could be family. You can try different things. But the first thing, and I kind of touched on this upon before, is that you both have to want to fix it. And you both have to take action. That's the most important part. Because again, many women I work with, it's like, oh yeah, they say they're going to change, especially narcissists. They will tell you anything you want to hear. Oh yeah, they say they're going to change. We went to therapy like 2 times, but then we stopped. And now like really nothing's changed. That's because one person is not willing to take the action to change. They just want you to do it. So if that's the case, nothing's really going to change, except if you're in that situation that I was talking about before, where a lot of it is really on you, that you're kind of not the healed person, but you're actually found somebody that's really nice and supports you and all of that, then you need to heal. But if 2 of you, it's both of your issues, and you have to take accountability there and realize that. But if it's both of your issues, both of you need to take action in order to change the relationship that you're in. The second thing that you guys can do to try to fix this is to shift your mindset. So this is going to be the really hard part, especially if you don't have help doing this, but you have to realize that you are blaming or have resentment. And if both of you choose to take action and change, you have to shift and you have to let go of all of that stuff that has happened in the past and start fresh. We can't hold on to that resentment. This is where, you know, my energy healing comes in, because there's energy around all of that stuff, especially if there's been emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. There is emotion and energy flying around those events that need to be released. So that's the energy healing part that we want to let go. So if you're trying to fix things and you're still holding on to that resentment and anger and blame, like, it's not going to work because you're still in that energy. So you need to let go of that energy and start fresh, like kind of like you're just meeting the person and get to know each other all over again. That's a really hard part to navigate, all right? But that is what you're going to have to do in order to fix the relationship. And again, both of you have to do that. So again, start dating again, start, you know, bringing it back to before you had kids, and really kind of working on that relationship and letting that all go and seeing this person as they are now. Because especially if you've been in a long relationship, you change during that relationship. So get to know the person all over again. Excuse me. The next thing that you can do to fix these things is to basically heal yourselves individually. So marriage counseling, doing work together is great, but you should also probably, I'm going to have to take another drink. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening. But you should also heal yourselves. Whew. My throat chakra, what's going on here? Okay. So healing yourself. So again, if you're codependent, now narcissists, just know this. If you're dealing with a narcissist, they're most likely not going to heal themselves, because narcissists don't really think that there's a problem with them. They will try to heal because that's what you want them to do. But literally, they're probably not even, if they go to therapy, they're not even telling the therapist what they should be telling them. They're just probably manipulating them as well. So realize that if you are dealing with the narcissist, and again, check out my playlist on YouTube, you know, you really don't have a really good chance at this, just to put that out there. There's probably a small chance, but not a very big one. But if you're dealing with a regular person that has, you know, doesn't have codependency, is kind of in the middle of the spectrum, even a little bit to either side, doesn't matter, or you are codependent, you have to work on healing yourself. And this is where I help women heal, because even to get into another relationship after dealing with a toxic relationship, you want to heal yourself so you don't bring all that baggage into another relationship. So healing yourself individually and then coming together to do the work together is also really, really good. Okay, get help from outside sources. So this would be therapists, this would be energy healers, coaches, friends, priests, wherever you are, whatever, whoever resonates with you that you think can help you the most. Even parents, like, you want to maybe get their perspective and maybe some opinions and some advice. But again, go to somebody that you trust, that has the knowledge. Like, you know, don't go to a friend that's already in a toxic relationship. They're probably not the best people to help you. So make sure that, and one of the things that I see, especially with therapists, and I love therapists, but what I see is, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist, like, you want somebody that understands what you're going through, not just read it in a textbook. So for me, like I always say, I have experience doing it, and I get a lot of therapists hating on me because they're like, you're not qualified or certified, but I get my clients results and they feel better. And it's because I understand. And we're also dealing with the energy side of it, not just the mind. We're dealing with the mind and the energy and connecting them so that what you think, you actually feel. All right. And that's a lot of things. Like, we can think we're worthy of a relationship, but we don't feel it, and we're not attracting the right people. And that's because our energy is saying something completely different. But a lot of therapists hate on me because I don't have the certifications. I'm not a certified therapist or a psychologist. I do study psychology, but I'm not a psychologist. But they'll hate on me because I'm not certified. But I'm like, I have years of experience with this. I've been through a lot with a narcissist, with couple narcissists, so I can understand people who are going through it and guide them through it. So just make sure that you get the help from somebody that has been through it and can really understand it rather than just kind of reading it off a textbook. So there are therapists out there that are specialized in narcissism, but then also energy healers. You really want to work with the energy, just to be honest with you guys. All right, and the last thing that I have, here we go with the energy, is you want to, okay, so if you're in a relationship and if you are dealing with a narcissist and they have financially controlled you for years and you cannot get out, you're forced to stay in this relationship, right? So the one thing that you can do is basically accept that you have to stay in this relationship. Let go of any resentment, blame, anger, because that's only hurting you. They don't care. They do not care at all, right? So that is only hurting you. So the biggest thing you could do is accept where you are and try and heal yourself so that it doesn't affect you. And I had a client like this who was stuck in this marriage, and she came to me, she was crying every single day. And I helped her realize, heal herself, heal her past, because what was happening is the narcissist was triggering her childhood. So when we healed the childhood, she didn't care about him anymore. He could say whatever he wanted to her, but she knew it wasn't true and she knew it wasn't validated. And she didn't need his validation anymore in order to feel good. So if you have to stay in a marriage like this or a relationship like this because you can't financially get out, you want to make sure that you can accept that that's where you are, get out of the victim mentality, right? That poor you, how could he do this to me? Get out of that. Take your power back. That's why my program is called From Pain to Power, right? Take your power back and start to heal yourself so that he does not affect you anymore, or the narcissist does not affect you anymore. And this is also in the case of family relationships. You don't have to cut out your whole family if they're narcissists. You can still deal with them, but you have to learn how to deal with them so that they don't affect you. Okay. And then also, in addition to that, with the energy side, is you want to learn how to clear and protect your energy. Because if you're around negative people all the time, and this is in general anyway, but specifically tonight for relationships, if you're around a narcissist all the time, they have a very dark, deep energy. So you can take that on. And so you want to make sure that you learn how to clear and protect your energy so that you're not taking on this narcissist energy all the time. So that is what I have for you guys tonight. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Okay, let me check out some of these comments. All right, let's see. Okay, I know 6 months of couple counseling by yourself doesn't work. Oh, Amanda, yes, I'm sorry to hear that. Becky, or let's see, where were you up here? Okay, well, all the above, absolutely valuable. Awesome. Okay, good. You guys are finding value out of this. Not really isolated, but wanted to be with me all the time. Yeah, so Aurora, with them wanting to be with you all the time, it's going to isolate you from your friends probably as well. Sue says, value, felt like the isolation came in the disguise of us as a couple spending time together. Yes, okay, so you guys are on the same page here. Thank goodness I still controlled finances. Good, Zulema, right? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Becky, oh, okay. Or therapy, he completely manipulated the therapist and makes you look like the crazy one. Yeah. And again, if therapists don't know about narcissism, they're not going to be able to see it. So you got to find a good therapist that knows about it. Narcs don't change. That is for sure, because they don't know that there's a problem. Okay. They can make you feel crazy. Absolutely. It's called gaslighting. They can also use other people against you. So that's a whole nother video. So you could check out my narcissism playlist. Blame shifting, go through all the time, but I'm scared to be alone. Yes. Guys, if you haven't seen yet, I do have, I don't think it's sold out, but I think I have like maybe 10 more spots for the webinar tomorrow to detach from your ex. So this is the thing, like, even though you might not want your ex back, he might be a narcissist, you're like, never again. What they did to you, you can still be holding on to in that energy, right? And that can be blocking you from finding the love that you want. So if you want to learn how to detach from your ex, you want to make sure you register for that. If you go into the Facebook group, you'll see that in the announcements. If you go onto YouTube under the community tab, you'll see to register there. But there's only 100 spots, and I think like 80 of them, maybe even more at this point, I haven't looked in like the last couple hours, are already taken. So you want to make sure you get into that right away. My self-worth is low, sad to say. Yes, sorry, Amy. Definitely felt drugged down, Christine says. I learned about gaslighting from the toxic relationship. Yeah, lots of emotional abuse. All right, resonate with the sexual abuse. Yeah, that's a big one. And I'm finding that a lot of women go through that. And it's not a good place. And it breaks my heart. I've just logged on. How much time have I missed so far? It's a lot. Oh, yeah, you can just watch the replay. Half hour, yeah. May your hearts be protected. You don't know narcissism until you experience it. Exactly. You don't know what to look out for. You can't just read it in a book. I'm sad to have missed you live. Tomorrow will be available for replay. Yes, I will send out replays. Amanda, just PM me because I'm not sending them out to like just everybody. So just PM me. Oh my God, this message was for me, Ileana. That's awesome. All right, I'm going through this right now. After Trump, all the therapists should recognize it. Okay, no comment. Going to watch the replay. I've been laying in bed all night in tears. I feel I'm being shamed because I want to eat food. Yes, it's more than normal, but my partner makes me feel ashamed. Yes, so that is definitely a toxic relationship right there. Aurora, this person admitted to the diagnosis of narcissism, but said it's not right. Makes sense. All right, guys, if you want to see if you're a good fit for my From Pain to Power program, which is an 8-week program, I really work with you to heal the past so you don't get triggered now. I help you work with your energy, release all that stuff, learn how to protect it, recognize it, clear it, and then also really get into awakening your self-worth and also boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. So if you have suffered from toxic relationships, and you don't want to suffer anymore or get into any new toxic relationships, or you find like you keep bringing in the narcissist or these toxic people, or if you feel like you're just keep giving, 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 and you're not receiving anything back in your relationships, this program is for you. So if you want to find out if you're a good fit, you can look up in the description box. Let me see if I can put it here in the comments. I think I have it. Let me see. Yeah, okay, there we go. So it's in the comments there. Sorry, YouTube doesn't let me like edit my video right away. So for YouTube, you can check it out tomorrow or just check me out on Facebook, Danielle Ingenito over there, okay? Constance says your boundaries are quite high. So this is how I'll explain something, right? You wanna make sure that your boundaries are open, okay? And so there's some women that I work with that their boundaries are so high that it's a wall. It's like a wall. Like you basically are like a cactus where you're kind of like prickly. So you basically tell everyone to get out of your way. And it's not a very open, like a heart chakra open type of boundary where it's like, okay, like I totally trust myself. I trust myself to make the decisions to keep the bad out, let the good in. It's a lot of, and Constance, I'm not saying that this is you, it's just bringing it up for me, is that there's a complete wall. So you keep everything out with your boundaries and you don't even let the good in. So if that is you as well, check out my From Pain to Power mentorship. Okay. You can see all the women that have taken it before and have gotten tremendous results. All right. Much love to all of you guys.